What's up, guys? It's the essential John L. Crossfire.
And I am Nova Lee.
And you guys are tuned into Caught
In Conversation.
Shaka Laka Laka. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 135 of Caught in Conversation in the pale moonlight. Have you ever danced with the devil in the pale moonlight? I am the essential John L. Crossfire.
And I am Nova Lee.
And it's kind of appropriate that we're actually recording the intro and outro to this episode on Halloween. It's October 31st as we're recording this intro and outro. And the crazy thing is this is going out the first weekend of November. And we're still got double headers. This is the second of a two-part episode. Obviously, this is going to be dropping at 5 p.m. Sunday, wherever you get your podcasts, or Friday, if you have the early access on Patreon, which we'll plug properly in the outro. But this is a very fun conversation. Again, one that we've been trying to tee up for a little bit, but we managed to get it done. It was recorded, obviously, pre-Emma Butler Memorial Show, but last week as we record this, but we got to talk, Nova, to the one and only Johnny the Joker, someone who we both love very dearly. He constantly gives me little things that he finds that remind me of him, which is awesome. I very much appreciate that. I always give him little shout-outs whenever I can, and as you'll hear in this conversation, his shoot job on the radio, which you can get, Community Radio Plus, download it. The link will actually be in the description of this episode. It'll just take you to the website, and then you can click either Google Store or iOS Store, depending on which platform you use from there. But no, Johnny the Joker, very awesome dude, very lovely dude. I met him in 2022 at the very first Emma Butler Memorial Show. Obviously, we missed last year because we're in the process of getting the new ring made and all of that fun stuff. I say we, but obviously James High Octane was in the middle of getting his new ring made. And you very recently, Nova, finally got to meet Johnny the Joker yourself, and now you've met him a couple of times now. And obviously he emceed the Emma Butler Memorial Show, which you got an upgrade to. You were second row. You got an upgrade to the VIP family row. You were front row, Nova.
What?
And you did lots of photos and got some footage of the videos, stuff for the vlog, and all the fun stuff. But yeah, this was a very awesome conversation with Johnny, and yet we still barely even scratched the surface, honestly. And we say that with a lot of our guests, but Johnny is someone that he even talks about it here in the conversation, that he's dipped kind of in and out a little bit. But still, for the the day, he's been in and out of the business for the better part of 20 odd years, which is crazy to think. Lots of stories, lots of memories, lots of people that he's met, and we kind of scratch the surface a little bit. We get into mainly stuff about the Harpas family, and we talk a little bit about Cobra Tai as well, who, rest in peace to both Andy Harpas and Cobra Tai. Cobra Tai, fun fact, and I did talk about it in this actual episode, but the very first person to ever show me the art of the lockup in professional wrestling, it was, I think, early 2013 or late 2012. Early 2013, the first time I met him, that he showed me the art of the lockup. So there you go. Only time I ever got to meet him, but small worlds. He left a huge impact because obviously it's a very important, fundamental part of professional wrestling. But
definitely.
Nova, I don't want to sit here and rant too long. If you'd like to give us the song and match of the week, and then again, we're doing this intro with our portable mics, so I've got the transition sound copy and pasted. I forgot to copy and paste the actual. So I'll do my best. I'll do my best to hype the crowd, so to speak, once we get to that. But if you want to quickly hit the song and match of the week, and then I'll throw it to you to just get into this conversation with Johnny. I don't want to rant too much longer.
Alrighty, so the song of the week for episode 135 was Here's Johnny by Hocus Pocus. And your match of the week for episode 135 was Sting versus Bret Hart at Halloween Havoc 1998.
And the reason we picked this song is quite obvious. This is Johnny the Joker's, one of his theme songs. He's actually got a remixed version of this theme song that he just debuted last week as we record this intro at the Emma Butler Memorial Show. But here's Johnny Absolute banger of a tune it was.
Yes.
And then obviously this match, as we'll get into this conversation, this is now, I think, the 4th week in a row. So a full month, because we're doing, even though this is the first week of November, we're still going strong with the double headers. But this will now be the 4th week in a row, I believe, if not the 5th week in a row, where we've had a Sting match for the match of the week on one of our episodes. But obviously it's very fitting. It's Halloween today as we record this intro and outro, and Johnny, as he talks about the reason he went to the face paint to begin with, was he was a massive Sting fan, so I thought we'd throw that out there. Thought it was appropriate. And obviously Bret Hart versus Sting, there was always the age-old debate of Scorpion Deathlock versus Sharpshooter, who did it better, da-da-da-da. It's literally the same move, they just did it with different legs.
Yeah.
Bret Hart did it from the left-hand side, Sting did it from the right. Neither of them actually invented it, they both stole it, as is pure in wrestling, but they made it their own, and I think it's a misconception that one of the two made it, but no. It came from Japanese wrestling, as did a lot of great wrestling holds and maneuvers and whatever. But yeah, there's people talk about Bret Hart's run in WCW and how it may have been a little bit lackluster in hindsight after going there in '97 and like yada yada yada. But this is one of the better Bret Hart matches in WCW, and it's just a great Sting match. So
yeah,
that's my TED talk for this intro.
Definitely check it out if you haven't seen it.
But yeah, as I said, because we're doing the portable mics here, we don't have this full soundboard and everything, and I forgot to do something. I copy and pasted the transition sound.
Professionals around
here.
Yeah,
professional. But, ladies and gentlemen, make some noise. Johnny.
Ladies and gentlemen, from your worst nightmare, here's Johnny the Joker!
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are here with the legendary wrestling manager, Johnny the Joker. We're very excited for this. Obviously, we've talked off-air for a little bit. We talk, semi-recently in real life as it is, but of all the stories that you've shared with us, I keep always telling you that I've got to get you here on the podcast, and we've got to share some of those stories. As I just told you off-air, we've kind of just got the base questions today that we always have for first-time guests, with a few little things thrown in. But I'm very excited to kind of basically just give people a refresh on who Johnny the Joker is now that you have stepped back into the business. But the first question we always ask, just to break the ice, and this is probably gonna date you a little bit, but what was your earliest wrestling memory, Johnny?
Crossfire, yeah, thanks for having me, mate. You said it's been a long time coming, and my earliest wrestling memory, I'm sure it was, probably, and this is something that kind of sticks inside my mind, and I wish my mum had been around to see when I see photos and stuff of what I got involved with. My mum was a big wrestling fan. Wrestling used to be on Channel 10 many years ago, late at night, and she would actually keep a scrapbook of who fought who lost, who won, and everything else. Now, I remember going to the Echo, which is like the Royal Easter show. It's the big royal show in Brisbane, and she must have got a Hulkamania or some type of wrestling show bag, because she had these Hulkamania wristbands and a headband. And I remember getting them, and again, I remember how passionate my mum was about watching wrestling. Now, don't know how old these shows were, how dated they were, but she kept a scrapbook and she had these little wristbands and everything else, a headband, Hulkamania ones, and without pinpointing a match or a wrestling event or anything like that, that's probably the thing that still sticks in my mind, that I wish Mum was around just to see, where I started, what I've done, and where I am now.
Hell yeah, Hulkamania. That's, people can say what they want about Hulk Hogan as a person outside of wrestling, but Hulkamania is one hell of a character. So that's pretty cool that you were able to gravitate towards that via your mum.
But again, he's a guy that he's recreated his image more than once, and even went to the heel when he did the NWO stuff and everything else. But everyone gravitates back to Hulkamania or all the wonderful mega powers, and when you put two guys that know how to talk and how to do a promo like that, it's just like gold. And think that's what lacks today. You've got some guys and girls that are out there in the business, not only on the local scene, but on the international scene that can shoot great promos. But I think it lacks today because there's not a lot of. There's some people out there that you put a microphone in front of and say, well done, well, it's awesome. But you have some people you put a microphone in front of them and you go, no, that was cringeworthy. Please go back and work on that.
It's. I don't want to derail this too much before Nova jumps in, but that Mega Power stuff, though, I'm glad. Like, honestly, I will go back and watch that over a lot of today's stuff. And that's just me personally. And I think the promos is a major factor in that. It's the larger than life characters that just suck you in, and it's just awesome stuff.
They were larger than life characters back in the 80s and into the 90s, into the Attitude Era and things like that. Larger than life characters, and they were like cartoon type figures. It was like, and again, Hulk Hogan had his own rock and roll wrestling cartoon show. I think even Bret Hart might have been involved in one at one stage, but they were like cartoon type figures, and as kids, that's what they were like. And larger than life, you've got your larger than life characters now, but having in the 80s and the 90s, it was just like that. They were larger than life figures, and but there's no one that stands out to say they're a Hogan or they're a Savage or they're one of them larger than life characters from years and years and years ago.
So my first question for you, Johnny, is what was the deciding factor that got you into the business, and when did you decide you wanted to do it?
This is an interesting story. We had a conversation about this a couple of weeks ago. I went to an ACW show. It was Australian Championship Wrestling. The name has been around for years and years and years. Run by the Harpas family, both Daniel and the late great Andy Harpas.
Yes, rest in peace, Andy.
I went to a show just to have a look. Okay, and I bought a T-shirt. So it was Sunday afternoon. Fairfield's 2 stops away from my house on the train. RSL's right across the road from the station. Let's go and have a look on a Sunday afternoon. Free entry, why not? So I bought a T-shirt. So Mufti Fridays at work. I worked for Telstra at the time in Pitt Street in Sydney. So I've worn the T-shirt to work. And this lovely lady that I used to work with, I think Vesna was her name, she came up to me and said, where'd you get the shirt from? And I said, I went to the wrestling last Sunday over at Fairfield. Liked the show. Bought a T-shirt. And she said, my son works for them. My son wrestles for them. Oh, does he? And who's your son? And then she said, he's part of Energy Extreme. And look, to this day, I cannot remember what Dave Carter's name was because Wrestling Extreme. He did tell me recently, but it was him and Mike Rayner. It was High Voltage, now goes the name of Voltage. He's done a bit of work in Japan. So I thought about I could possibly get involved with this somehow, somewhere, thinking that. So I went down to training at the Whitlam Centre. We used to train in Liverpool. Had a yarn to Andy about who I was and what I would like to do and everything else, and thought, well, I had an existing back injury at the time, so I couldn't really take any bumps on my back. Was happy to do other stuff. So the next thing, we're involved. I'm managing Energy Extreme. It had to be probably mid-90s, I say, mid to late 90s. And that's where it all started, just to go down and saying, look, I can do this, even though I can't take bumps and anything like that. But don't get me wrong, I have taken bumps, and but I can get involved with this, and the rest, they say, is history, as I say.
So my next question kind of alludes into that a little bit. Did you ever have any aspirations to wrestle, Johnny?
Probably yes. When I started, probably yes, but and God bless my late partner, Soul Kitty, because she said, "You're not taking bumps anymore." And when we got back involved, and she said, "You're too old, but you're too old to bump." And look, at the age of 53, I probably am too old to bump. But if I have aspirations to wrestle, probably maybe just a quick tag or something like that, or a short tag, or go in and do a couple of grapples, and maybe get hit by something, and just one of them short matches, with hot tags and everything like that, maybe. But look, I was happy to be where I was because of this injury that I had in my back. Would I have liked to have taken a little bit further? Probably, but look. There's no reason why it can't happen again. As I said, someone said to me, "Oh, you should go." And I said, "Look," I said, I was going to training 3 days a week. Even though I was a manager of a ballet, I was going to training 3 days a week, because the fact is sometimes you're going to have to take a bump on a show, and sometimes you're going to be told to take a bump on a show on that day. So you need to know how to fall, how to look after yourself, how to take certain bumps, because the fact is it could happen on that day. So. Would I have liked to have taken on a wrestling spot? Yeah, I wouldn't say no. Was I happy where I was within the business? I was happy where I was within the business. When I finished managing Energy Extreme, I took over commentary, and with Andy. After Andy had his stroke, he took on commentary, and Mad Mike. So we were a great commentary team, but no. I'd say I'd like to have, but where I came into and where I stayed, I was happy to stay where I was, and and again, the commissioner was a great role too, or the boss, that was the great role too. We spoke about that a couple of weeks ago about what happened at one certain show, and I love the power. It's fantastic.
That's awesome. My next question for you is, what's been your favourite company to work for so far?
I really only work for all the stuff that I really all the stuff that the Harpas work for. I've done a few shows for Rex over in Canberra, and I did one show for Rex over in Canberra. Did a Mask Wrestling League show for him. And I've done, of course, ICW up in with High Octane himself up in Cowra. Look. The stuff with the Harpas was fantastic. They brought me in someone who wanted to be involved, but due to limitations couldn't be involved as much as he would like to have been. So ACW days to WXA days to XDC. I mean, our WXA XDC was basically ACW and XDC was the bad faction. So a bit like NWO versus WCW. That's kind of like what you would call it. But they were great. They were great times. I really did enjoy that. I kind of when I moved from Sydney to Victoria, I kind of drifted away from the performance side of things, because it was difficult from where I was to get to shows in Melbourne. We had local shows in Ballarat, but even though I did still enjoy wrestling and watching and everything else and going watch the live shows, it wasn't something that I really wanted to get back involved with. And a lot of shows, and we're very fortunate that some shows have commentary, because a lot of shows don't have that anymore, and you've got to get in there and you've got to either work as a manager or a valet or a ring announcer or something like that. And I'll say I haven't got them skills, but does that make shows different or lacking? For those who watch it on TV, expect commentary, but I've learnt to be in a situation where I don't expect it. But then again, it's up to whoever's in the ring then, who's performing in the ring, to sell it and make the story work. Because if you haven't got a commentator to help you or a good announcer to help you, you've got to sell that story and make that story work for what you're trying to do in the ring.
See, it's a
But yeah, I'd say all the Harpas stuff. Look, I've only been doing a bit of stuff for Rex in Canberra for a little bit, and James in Cowra for a little bit. But again, I spent a fair time with the Harpas. I've watched a lot of people that are now wrestling all throughout Sydney and the rest of all around the world that have come through the Harpas school, and even met other people that came through the Harpas school after I left that are now doing great things up and down the East Coast. And it was great to have been part of that.
You've worked with a lot of names in Australia. I think that's an understatement at this point.
A lot of names on the East Coast, especially in the Sydney scene. Yes.
But someone that you have worked on shows around within Victoria and stuff like that, and someone that Nova is a very big fan of, is Vixen. Do you have any quick stories that you could share about working with Vixen and seeing Vixen?
Well, I haven't worked with Vixen, but I've actually seen a fair few of her matches because we had BPW, which was Ballarat Professional Wrestling. That was Jimmy Razor's show, and they would come quite regularly to form in the rec centre, our basketball centre in Ballarat. Vixen and her partner Mad Dog, the guys, people like that, are just like legends. I actually saw, and I went and commended both ladies for it because it's the first time I've ever seen one of these matches, and I don't think there'll be anyone. I don't think anyone's been game enough to put one on. There may have been one, but this is the first time I saw one live. A women's hardcore match. A women's hardcore match where nothing was left on the table, I can tell you that. Through tables, yes, but nothing was left on the table. There was lots of claret spilt. There was lots of sores, lots of welts. They would have felt it the next day if it didn't feel it already. But I went and commended both ladies to say, look, that is one of the most amazing things I've ever seen. Vixen, and she's overcome adversity too. She had some serious injuries as well and stepped back from the game and then got better and come back. But she commands respect from me because of what she does, where she's been. She's wrestled again all around the world. But these were shows also where we saw a very young Buddy Murphy, Matt Silver, wrestle. We saw these guys before they went to the States and became big. Danny Psycho, Jack O'Lantern, guys like them that used to do hardcore matches, and these guys are climbing up on top of Coke machines and just jumping off them and slamming people onto the floor where there is no padding, and it's just like nuts. And the thing is, for rural centres, rural centre like Ballarat, is it rural? Probably a satellite city to Melbourne, but to see that in your own backyard was just amazing. But Vixen, look, she's a workhorse. But that match, out of all the Vixen matches I've seen, that one will remain in my memory for the rest of my life because the fact is, it was like, I don't know. Tell me the last time you ever heard of a women's hardcore match. I don't even think they do it in the big leagues. It's like,
even currently, Vixen's, she's doing a lot of the deathmatch stuff even now, but for the majority, even now in, the 2020s and, this generation, half of the matches that she does in that stipulation are nearly always intergender matches. There's been a few here and there where it has been a couple of women on women, but yeah, Vixen, she's just a badass and she can take on a man.
Yeah, she is just a badass. I mean, there was intergender matches when I was involved in the scene in the early 90s. There was something I think that the New South Wales Sport and Rec didn't like. And if it had to be women against women and men against men if you had an intergender match. I think it's well and truly changed now. But
it's only still fairly recently changed though, Johnny. It's only been in the last 7 or 8 years, I think, where that's changed. So
because we used to put on a lot of them intergender matches. Because as I said, Nikki Nitro and Cobra Tai again. God bless his soul. They used to they were together as a team. Nikki, I think, managed him for a short period of time, but they also tagged together. So you were very, very cautious about making sure that everyone was wrestling the right people because you never know who was watching. So.
Yeah, we actually had this conversation very recently on the show that I met Nikki Nitro at. She was managing Cobra Tai, and he was the first one that showed me how to do a proper lockup, and it was cool because it was the only memory I ever had with him. But it's obviously a very, very cool one because it was the fundamentals.
Well, it is, and there's a guy that he must have started. I was there while he was there. I just started, and came a match one day where I had to take a kendo stick, and he Look, it's the only time I've ever had anyone really hit me in the head with anything, apart from the cake that Mad Mick hit me with and give me two black eyes. Look, I was sore. I had a welt on my head. It didn't drive it home. But again, great guys like that, you've got all the confidence in the world to say, yep, let's work this in the ring, step, around, swing, this is what's going to happen, take the fall. And I think the fall had to go over the top rope, and we didn't use padding outside our ring stand. So yeah, we'll get out of that one. I took a twist of fate once, it was I can't remember who gave me the twist of fate, but no, Cobra Tai again, one of them guys that I worked with that again, a lot of blessings, a lot of thanks, and what he did outside of the ring as well, other ventures and everything else, he's cosplay stuff, it still makes me very proud of what he achieved there as well.
Hell yeah. I've seen some of the things you've shared on social media of him where he was dressed as Batman and other characters.
Yeah,
and
Batman was good, but if you ever want to see anything, check out his Mad Max stuff, because he actually went out to the Silverton pub out that Broken and got proper photos taken out there, and his actual Mad Max costume was actually in the Mad Max Museum.
Oh, okay, wow, that's
so,
cool as hell.
He's well respected within the anime community and also the cosplay community, and still is to this day. But no, we were talking earlier on about how I got involved. Do you want to know how I actually got involved in my first match?
Let's hear it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I went along to a wrestling show again, and I was a plant in the crowd, and I think Poison Ivy, Jess, she wanted. So I think she might have been the commissioner at some time. Or might have been the manager. She was the manager of someone. I think she might have been the manager of Ben Gold, and just trying to remember his other name. He used to be a crazy chef. He passed away as well. But they were going to be facing Energy Extreme in the actual main event. So she needed someone as a guest referee. So I was a plant in the crowd. I had bright green hair underneath a wig, a horrible looking wig. Don't know how no one picked it. So I got pulled out of the crowd and told I was going to be refereeing the main event, and then went backstage, put on the original Johnny the Joker face paint, bright green hair, came out and wrestled came out and refereed the main event. And that was my first foray into being involved in a show. And it was great. Look, Jess worked it up big time. She went crazy. She went nuts when they come out. Energy Extreme won, and I think they won. Well, I'm not sure if it was the tag team titles that time or whatever. It might have been the hardcore title. I don't know, but that's how it happened. I was a plant in the crowd, and got pulled out of the audience to referee the main event, and just went nuts. It worked it really, really well. The crowd went nuts, and Energy Extreme went home with the gold, I think.
Hell yeah. That's still, I remember you told us that story like face to face a few weeks ago, and it still pops me now hearing it again, like just trying to hide the bright green hair. Trying to hide the bright green hair.
I had a wig on. And it was, it probably wasn't the greatest wig, but I actually had a wig. And I think I even had I might have even had a long sleeve Joker, Joker T-shirt on. So, because it was mid-90s, the first Batman movie had come out about that time. So, so it was, So, look, when I came out through the curtain for the main event, it was pretty obvious that this is the guy with the Joker shirt on, and but look, it was popped. Yeah, they were your bread and butter shows. Fairfield were our bread and butter shows. And Fairfield, and all them, and the shows at Mounties, school holiday shows at the Mounties they were packed, and you do every Wednesday at the school holiday shows at Mounties, and I think it was might have been one, or might have been either the first Sunday of the month or the last Sunday of the month at Fairfield. We weren't doing a lot of shows, but the Harpas were kind of in the frame of, if you work for me and work for me only, and that wasn't a problem. Well, but now it's completely different. You could work 2 or 3 nights a weekend if you wanted to, Friday, Saturday, Sunday if you wanted to, but it wasn't a problem. They were protecting their assets, and back then, you seemed like that was okay. But once that kind of lessened, you're in a situation where you could work everywhere. And Andy would tell us stories that he would work sometimes in New Zealand on the weekend, fly back and do a Channel 9 taping, and he might do one in Melbourne, and then he might travel out to Originaries and work a show in, say, Ballarat or something. And you could work back in the olden days or the gold days of wrestling, sometimes 3 to 4 nights a week. But now with the scene the way it is, Queensland, New South Wales, Victoria. I don't think there's a state in Australia where there isn't a wrestling federation. But we're talking about Adelaide, Perth, Victoria, Sydney, Newcastle region, Canberra.
I actually just went on a massive rant on a recent episode with Nova. But the fact that you can go from Tasmania all the way to the Northern Territory, and there is still wrestling, and not only that, it is great wrestling, is crazy to me.
Yeah, well, again, I mean, Tassie's only been around probably for 3 or 4 years. Darwin's only been around for a short period of time. But the fact is that now that it's recognised nationally. You can wrestle anywhere. You could wrestle anywhere in Australia. You could contact the guys in Darwin and say, I want to come up and do some shows. This is who I am. This is what I've done. This is who I've worked for. And look, if it's something that you can, and again, you can put that on your bucket list. I know you've got a passion or desire to want to go and work on an interstate show, but put that on your bucket list to say, go and do the ones that aren't the obvious ones. Go and do something in the Territory. Go and do something in Tasmania. If they're willing to foot part of the bill, why not do it? But no, it's great because the fact is that we now have this strong. We now have this strong scene. But again, I'd like to be in a situation where we have this strong scene. Some shows do inter shows with other shows, but a strong scene also where we can get the best of the best and get something that can be bankrolled by someone to put it on TV, whether it's on TV, late at night or lunch times or something like that. And get the best. Don't get me wrong. There's community TV in a lot of areas, a lot of national, it's capital state areas, but there's not community TV, out in the scrub. So, but that's a pipe dream. But you've got to get everyone come to the table to want to work towards that pipe dream to say, let's do it. Let's get some major sponsorship on board, and let's see whether we can do it. And just do an hour best of each week of what's happened in the last month. Some people might get more work out of it. That's the way it is, getting exposure. But again, it's from 1995 to where I am now. It's different now. You can stream local matches online. You can. It's the social media side of things. Now we weren't talking about social media in 1995. You actually had to physically go to a show or buy a DVD at the actual show of the match. You actually had to physically go to a show. Where now you can watch highlights online or subscribe to services to actually watch the match. You don't physically have to go to a match.
Yeah, it's really, and it still boggles my mind because obviously we're from a different generation, Johnny. But even from me, I grew up within the VHS generation, but it very quickly went to DVD, and then DVD quickly went to the streaming, and it's like the amount of the advancements we've had with technology in general is insane. But professional wrestling, especially, you can go and type in YouTube and you can start watching stuff from the 1970s all the way up to now at the click of a button, and it's insane.
Exactly, and this big announcement that WWE made over the last couple of weeks that they're going to be streaming now on Netflix, which means that are people going to cease their binge packages and get a Netflix package? I mean, it's just going to make the upsell on Netflix massive. But on the other token, WWE have had a very long contract with Foxtel. Are they going to lose subscribers over it? Don't know. But I also remember the time that they were having a major issue with the contract with Foxtel. It had lapsed, and places like Hoyts and Village Roadshow were actually showing pay-per-views on the big screen at the cinemas. And I went and experienced quite a fair few of them at Westfields at Parramatta. You go and watch the pay-per-view, you sneak in a few beers. It was just like watching it at your local club. No, it was awesome. It was awesome. But no, I mean, WWE, is it a good move? It's probably a good move in regards to accessibility. People, and again, it's only a benefit for Netflix, and that's the big plus. But again, it's streaming, and that's the way to see. You can actually see anything. As I said, anything in the world. Just type in wrestling, and you could be watching wrestling from places where you haven't seen wrestling before.
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy. Like there's one of my favorite independent promotions is US based, and it's the same thing. Like, oh, they've got a show on at X date, which is 10 a.m. on a Monday here. So it's like, cool, let's wake up and have me coffee and have me breakfast, and I'm literally watching it in real time, and it's just crazy. But
I mean, I think it was Plex. Plex used to have a lot of independent wrestling from the US and that underground Mexican wrestling as well. And used to be able to watch that on Plex for nothing. It was free, so you could actually get on there and you could see either people that you knew, or you could see independents that were really, really good and really, really enjoyed. And you could find out a bit more about who's that? Who is that? And again, it's the power of social media and the power of you can just type someone's name into. I said, they were trained by blah blah blah. And where else have they worked? Or they used to be with the WWE, or they used to be with WCW, or they've done ROH, or they've done New Japan. But again, there's a lot of free stuff out there to watch. You just got to know where to find it.
Absolutely, but I think this is going to be a hard one for you to answer, Johnny, because you've been a part of quite a lot of stuff, and as we've just talked about, you've been watching for quite a long time now. But what are some of the favourite matches of yours that both you've been involved in, and then just some of your favourite matches in general from TV?
It's probably hard to say favourite matches that I've been involved in, because again, I've had a sporadic type of 90s through to now. Probably couldn't pick one on TV. I'm in a situation where I actually walked away from watching a WWE probably about 2008. I only saw I couldn't justify 6+ hours a week. It got to me like more of a soap opera than wrestling. Anything with Sting. I'm a big Sting fan. So anything with Sting. I had the pleasure of seeing WCW when they toured Australia. It's the only time they ever toured Australia. The pleasure of seeing WCW when they toured Australia. Anything usually with Sting. I mean, we all saw him, rappel from the rafters. That's just a great wrestling moment that you'll always remember, even if you're not a Sting fan. I couldn't pinpoint a particular match because I'm not the type of person who remembers a match. The Goldberg stuff, the streak, the Goldberg stuff was good to watch again. Goldberg, I saw him on the WCW show, and some of their characters, but I couldn't pinpoint a match. That kind of grabbed me to say, no, that was really, really good. I really did enjoy that. Because, as I said, I did eat, sleep, and breathe wrestling, and then I got out of it. And then I kind of got back involved with it, but again, I gave away the WWE product 2018 because I just got bored with it, to be honest. When AEW came about, I started to watch a fair bit of that. I did enjoy that. Darby Allin was someone that I really, really enjoyed. I really enjoyed his work. And there was another
tag match he had with Sting for Sting's final match
that was awesome.
That was the Sting was taking bumps that Sting didn't have to take and probably shouldn't have been taking, but He went out with a bang for sure in that match. That was ridiculous.
But that's a situation also where you've got a veteran putting someone over to make them, to make them even bigger than what they are, and it's guys like that can do that for the young. There was the young up and comers, and there was another guy there. I can't remember his name because when I first started watching AEW, I really got into. And they had a lot of lightweights, and you don't see a lot of shows apart from WCW when they had the cruiserweights, and that was it. Predominantly, that was it. That was part of the show, the cruiserweights. So not a lot of shows have lightweights on them, especially the WWE don't have a lot of lightweights involved. They're all medium to large guys, and even the larger guys. So you don't see a lot of that anymore. And I really enjoy watching them guys because they're a bit more nimble, they're a bit more quick, you have to be on your game, especially if you're a larger wrestler. They'll run you around the ring and try to tire you out because that's what they can do. But I can't pinpoint a match, but I can pinpoint the fact that I saw a good part of the WCW roster. I really enjoyed that show. I've only ever seen the WWE once. Did not enjoy the show, even though there was some big talent on that show. Then again, I became a big WCW fan and didn't watch very little of Raw and SmackDown at the time, and became a big WCW fan. But having saying something and being involved with a match that I enjoyed. I'm not the first one to be called out of the crowd and to referee a main event. And to be honest, it's probably the only match I've ever refereed. And to be referee of the main event, that was a bit of a buzz. And the buzz was that I was in there having fun. I was involved with this show. Look at me. I'm not a wrestler, but look, I'm up here having fun. And all I did was go and have a yarn to the guys about what I could and couldn't do. And the next thing, I'm part of the ACW WXA XDC fabric. And again, I can't thank the Harpas family enough for being involved with that. And again, it's like family. I've been involved with a few sports where it's like family. I wouldn't know you guys if it wasn't for this. I wouldn't have. It's like click. Friends for life. No, it's like that. It's friends for life. The amount of people that I've got as friends because I've been involved with shows either with them or I've met them at shows not only on the East Coast but in Melbourne, and even when I was in WA, I knew guys over there from Ballarat and also clicked with guys over there that and saw matches over there that really and people over there that wrestled that were really, really good and could have gone a long, long way. But unfortunately, some of them didn't, and some of them did. But again, I had a show that was 5 minutes drive down the road, and I enjoyed it. But no, I couldn't pick a match, probably except for the one that I was first involved in because that was the biggest pop. To get out there and get involved with the show when all you've been doing is working in the gym and training. When you get out there and do that, that's the biggest pop. As per something internationally, there's nothing that stands out. Nothing that really stands out. But then again, I'm 2/3 of the way for the best of Sting at the moment, so I might find something on that I can tell you about next time.
I've got a bonus question for you though, Dave. You mentioned Sting, Surfer Sting or Crow Sting? What's your preference?
Surfer. Actually, I'm watching quite a lot of Surfer Sting at the moment. I don't think we've got out of the Surfer phase yet. Look, I knew Sting from Crow Sting. And even the red-faced NWO Sting, I know Sting from that. So that's probably my favourite. But I've actually, as I said, this Best of Sting DVD that I'm watching at the moment. It goes all the way back when he was tagging with Jim Hellwig, the Ultimate Warrior. So it goes right back. But yeah, it was. And if there's a match that you'll want to say stands out, the one that he had where he won, I think his first heavyweight title where he beat Ric Flair. That was a match. But then Ric Flair, I think he'd only won about 5 or 6 titles by that time. So he was only in his infancy. But no, it would be Crow Sting. Because I really didn't know a lot of his early stuff up until now when I've been watching this stuff. But yeah, it definitely would be Crow Sting, I would say.
See, when I think of Sting, I'm the same. I think the black and white and the coming down from the rafters. But my all-time favourite Sting match is actually, it's another one with Flair. And by the time this episode goes out, it'll actually be a match of the week on the podcast a few weeks ago now. But it was only 2 days ago as we record this. But the match he had with Flair, where it went to the time limit draw, where Flair's manager, JJ Dillon's, hung above the ring in a shark cage. You think Sting's going to get it. He's got the Scorpion on, and right as Flair goes to tap out, the 45-minute time limit ends. And there's just a whole big thing where it was like, that was Sting's moment of, I think that was the match where they were testing Sting to see, like, could he last with Flair sort of thing. And then obviously they had many, many matches after the fact. But yeah, that's definitely.
But again, that was WCW were doing different stuff like that. I mean, I don't think I can remember. I can remember like WWE or WWF matches where people were handcuffed to the ring or something like that. But I can't remember. I think a WWE or WWF show where someone's been suspended in a cage somewhere or locked up in a cage on the stage somewhere so far away. But yeah, it's. But yeah, big Sting fan. That's why I went face paint. People say to me, "Why does he go face paint?" Because I was a big Sting fan. I went face paint with a Joker type of style. For those people who are very observant, I actually wear the same black mechanics gloves that Sting wears. I do have a couple of the different colours because he has worn different colours. So I think he had a blue pair at one stage. He's got a red pair. I think I've got a couple of pairs of them somewhere. But they're hard to find now. Maybe because of Sting, they're hard to find. But yeah, big Sting fan. It would be Crow Sting for me. That's why we went face paint, because the fact is, Sting wears face paint. I can do that, and depending on how I felt and what month it was what colour their hair would be. And again, for those who have been observant over the years, I wear exactly the same gloves as Sting. So yeah.
I'll throw it over to Nova now for her next question, but I feel like, judging by what we just talked about, I may actually already know the answer to this.
That's what I was going to say.
You can ask the question regardless, Nova.
This next question might be a very obvious answer, but if you could manage any wrestler in history, who would it be?
Well, you probably reckon I'm going to say Sting, but no.
Oh, okay. Swerve.
No.
Curveball.
Look, as I said, when AEW started, I really did enjoy some of the stuff that they were doing, and I mentioned Darby Allin. He'd probably be a guy that I would probably, I don't know, would I go straight manager or I could turn over to the dark side and become a heel manager, because I don't think I've ever managed someone who's been on the cusp of being either or either. I think Darby Allin, that's probably someone, yes. But again, we spoke about Randy Savage. We spoke about some of the greats, so Hulk Hogan. I reckon Randy, just to be in the presence of someone who he can. As soon as he opens his mouth and you're talking about the cream of the crop and the cream rises and everything else, and he just goes off on this rant that shouldn't make sense, but it does. Scott Steiner makes a rant that shouldn't make sense, but it does. No, his perfect one about his multiplication and everything else, still can't work it out, even you write it down. But look, if in the new era, I would, because I was really buzzed by AEW, watched quite a fair bit, probably haven't for quite a while, would be someone like Darby Allin. He's great, but also dark in the same vein as well.
He's the type of character I feel that would actually, everyone loves him because of his car crash style, but he's the type of character that I feel he's kind of at a standstill. And I think, obviously, having Sting help, but I think he's that type of character that I feel would needs a manager of some sort or a handler of some sort in general, to be honest. So that's a good shout.
I'd like to be with someone that doesn't speak. Yes. I'd like to be with someone to actually be like a Paul Heyman or something like that, and actually speak for them. They're that mysterious that they don't speak.
So That's what
No,
I think.
I reckon that would be a great sort of angle. I'm going to manage someone, and they're going to ask them the question, and you can just put your hand up to him and says, no. He doesn't talk. Doesn't talk to anyone. I talk for him.
That's what I
No,
reckon.
so that gives you a chance then as a manager to shine and flare and shoot your promo for your guy, and it's just something that even though I don't watch a lot of the scene apart from what I see locally and things like that, still have this wrestling mind to go, well, wouldn't it be great to manage someone who just doesn't talk?
So good.
No,
being the mouthpiece for them.
Yeah, and you're the spokesperson for them. No, like a Paul Heyman. Who else used to do it? Bobby the Brain Heenan used to do that for guys as well.
Bobby
Yeah,
is my all-time favourite manager.
And they would not do a lot of talk at all, but their manager or their valet would do all the talking for them. So we don't, you go, look, no, he's got nothing to talk about. We talk in the ring. That's the way we do business. So if you've got any questions to ask him, you ask me. So
I'm just getting mouth in the south.
Yeah, mouth in the south is actually.
Honestly, with some of the suits that Jimmy wore, I can see those vibes with the new era version of Johnny the Joker with that suit.
Don't worry.
Suave.
I've got some great gear. And I must thank the girls locally, my local Vinnies, for finding me the great gear. I've actually got to try it all back on before our show in 2 weeks' time, just to make sure it fits. Well, there's no reason it not fitting. It might just be too big now because I've lost a considerable amount of weight. So we might just have to get stuff taken in, or just I've got a pair of suspenders in the bag anyway, just in case. But no, let's talk about the next show that's coming up. Where we're going to be going if you want to head down that direction.
Well, quickly, we always end the official interviews on non-wrestling questions. I've actually got 2 for you this time, so I'll quickly power through those, and then Nova will jump in with the plugs for the show and everything else. But we always ask a non-wrestling question to end like the official interview part before we jump into the plugs. As I said, I try to tailor them the best as we can to the person we're talking to, and with you we couldn't pick, so we've got 2 for you. So the first off, obviously Johnny the Joker comes from a very obvious reference. You're a big Joker fan, Batman fan, etc.
Yep.
But what is your favourite version of the Joker character in the DC universe?
Look, Johnny's done some crazy stuff. I've always seemed to have an ice hockey jersey on somewhere. At one stage, I had a Tails jacket. I actually went to the trouble of cutting out all the lettering and sticking it on the Tails jacket, Double J, Johnny the Joker, on the back of it. I painted the letters and everything. Look, face paint Johnny's probably, because I know face paint Johnny really, really well. We ended up getting a jersey I got a jersey from a Christmas one year from the West Sydney Ice Dogs, which are now formerly known as the Sydney Ice Dogs. They had my favourite number on it, 39, with Double J on it. So that was it. That was Johnny, basically. That was the Johnny character. But I have worn roller hockey jerseys to things. Revesby, did a show at Revesby, and this is probably, and again, I've always wanted one since. Someone brought along a monkey bike. So I'm managing at that stage. I've come out through the crowd. I'm riding this monkey bike around the ring. A little miniature BMX monkey bike. And I thought, that was pretty cool. Look, face paint Johnny, coloured hair Johnny. That was fun. Going to a show at Club Marconi and then going out to check your mail in the morning. One of the workmen's working in your street recognises you from the show at Club Marconi. Can't hide when you take the face paint off, unfortunately, when you've got bright orange hair. But yeah, face paint Johnny as opposed to, as I said, the new, I think, apart from me getting a bit crazy and doing, I've done, of course, did the Mask Wrestling League. I turned up at a Mask Wrestling League showing character. Second one I went to over there. And I turned up to Impact in Wagga dressed as well.
Yes. I was like, hey, Johnny. I made my way through the crowd.
Yeah. It stands out. I got a photo taken in a but it never made the paper for some reason. I don't know why. Maybe I look like I should have been on the show. But no, I took a date. She'd never been to a live wrestling show before. It was a great night, and again, it was a great thing that organisation that are involved with that Oceanic Wrestling are bringing shows to rural regions, because it's something that you don't see. You have to travel out of them areas to go and see them. No, but no, Face Paint Johnny's are probably one I know the best. Look, not a lot of people know the new one, and no one in Sydney's seen the new one apart from the photos. But yeah, I'd have to source a Sydney Ice Dogs jersey now, which can be done. It's just a matter of contacting the management to get a jersey made up. But happy with what we've got now, and hopefully we can do a lot more shows, not only locally, but we've got contacts in Sydney that will probably be happy to put me on a show. But life's got a little bit more busy now, so we'll just have to see what happens, and maybe just maybe get up to Sydney and just turn up to a show in character. That puts an idea in people's heads then.
As far as the actual Joker, though, the DC Joker, Johnny, what's been your biggest version of that's inspired you, like whether it be comics or movie or television? Because there's been some great Jokers over the year between Heath Ledger and Jack Nicholson. And
look, I can tell you now, I've not seen any of the new Joker films. There's a new one out now, and the one before that is Jared Leto played the Joker.
The Suicide Squad, and then Joaquin Phoenix is the Joker now. There's been a lot of Jokers over the years. No,
they're not. Look, I haven't seen any of the new ones, but look, as I said, mid-90s when we were starting this game, the new Batman film would come out. I would go, and again, and don't get me wrong, the classic 60s series, Cesar Romero, who plays the Joker in that one, actually has a fully fledged mustache. They've got the face paint right to the point that you look at the close-up shots, you can actually see his mustache, but on the faraway shots, and not a lot of people know that. Look, I'm a 60s guy, but again, when the original Batman came out with Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson, it's one of them roles that certain people that are made for certain people to play. If Jack Nicholson hadn't played that, would it have been the same? Probably not. If Heath Ledger hadn't played the Joker in the Chris Nolan films, would the Joker have been the same? No. It was kind of like a bit of okay, but a bit of madness at the same time. I enjoyed the Batman, the first Batman film. To the point that I can tell you favorite songs off the Prince album that aren't even Bat Dance. So that's how much I enjoyed it. How much, but who was the Joker based off? Look, probably the Jack Nicholson character. But I'm not evil. I'm not sinister. I'm a pretty happy sort of guy. Well, I don't know. Maybe I should get to a point one day where something causes me to change. But again, we're not doing face paint anymore. We're actually, we're now got a mask. There's a lot of money invested in the mask, so I suppose we should be using that.
I'm glad that you did bring up the Nicholson one, though, because I think that kind of actually gives me a name for the episode, because I always go to the, have you ever danced with the devil in the pale moonlight? I love that version of the Joker.
Yeah.
But Nova has a bonus question, she's telling me.
Yeah, it's a two-parter.
Well, it's interesting you should talk about Dance with the Devil in the Pale Moonlight. I also used as a nickname and a pseudonym for a lot of stuff. I had for a lot of stuff Jack Napier, which was the name of the Joker.
Yes.
Name in the actual that Batman movie, that was his name, Jack Napier. So people go, how'd you get that name? I said, what? Have you not seen Batman? I mean, it's like but it's interesting. Yeah. All right, I'll shoot over.
Yeah. So, just feeding on from John's non-wrestling question, your favorite Batman movie and your favorite Batman. Who is it?
Well, look,
put you on the spot.
look, I can't honestly go past the Michael Keaton one.
Yes.
Correct answer. But don't get me wrong. The comedy element of the 1960s Batman film was quite funny. And I enjoy the fact we've got plastic sharks and shark repellent, bat shark repellent, and things like that. I mean, things like that. The gimmicks in that were just that they're laughable now. I mean, it's like it's really funny. And I just picked up the DVD of Return of the Batcave, which is kind of like a I've seen it once, but again, it's one of them laughable films. Can't go past the first one because we a whole bunch of guys that I went to school with and we kind of did all our senior schooling and we kind of all worked together. We loaded up a car, going to be 4 or 5 of us, and drove from Lithgow to Sydney to actually see the movie the Friday after it opened on the Thursday. So that's how much that film is important to me, how much I enjoy that one, and how much that Michael Keaton resonates with me. I started to watch the Batman films a couple of weeks ago. I think I've got to the one with Ed Arnie, and I just turned it off. I said, that's probably got to be the worst one to lot. And again, I did the same thing with Planet of the Apes. I watched all the original Planet of the Apes films. I thought, all right, I'll start watching the new ones now, and I watched the one with Mark Wahlberg in it, and I'm going, no. I said, hey, this is crap. I can't watch it anymore. But no, it was good. Keaton, and again, I have great memories of that film because the fact is, 4 or 5 guys that we went to school together, we worked together, we played indoor cricket, we did a lot of social things together. Lithgow, we drove, 2.5 hours drive down up over the mountain and down the other side, and to go and watch a film on Friday night and enjoy the Batman film. In fact, there's a Batman experience coming to Australia. I think it's in Sydney. Not in Sydney. It's only in Melbourne in a couple of weeks, and it'll be in Sydney, I think, where they're actually going to be playing the film on the big screen with a fully live orchestra. They've done it with a lot of films. I think Blade Runner.
Yes.
Yeah, I think Blade Runner was the last one that they did. I'm super keen to probably go and have a look at that. I don't know if I can get the same 4 or 5 guys to come with me, but super keen to go and have a look at it there. Because again, I enjoy that film. I enjoy the soundtrack, both the one by Danny Elfman and the one by Prince, and enjoy Michael Keaton. But don't get me wrong, the 1960s film has a soft spot as well, because the fact is we just laughed at plastic sharks and I think the episode where Batman and the Joker have a surf battle. They're surfing, so that's an interesting one as well. And Mando at one stage released a whole version of Batman-based products as well, and I had quite a fair bit of that at one stage.
Hell yeah. It's funny you mentioned Danny Elfman because he's doing an orchestral of A Nightmare Before Christmas as well, which I want to go see. But I'll ask the last non-wrestling question before we...
Danny Elfman, for those people who are old enough to remember, him and his brother were founding members of a band called Oingo Boingo. So, and he went from that to doing film scores. And
the amount of films he's done and TV as well. I think he's actually involved in The Simpsons as well, which... I think everyone's heard of that.
Someone might have heard of it. Yeah, maybe might have watched 1 or 2 episodes at one stage. But no, Danny Elfman was in a band called Oingo Boingo, and I think their claim to fame, if you've ever seen the film Weird Science, and it was because it's really weird now, it hasn't dated well. These 2 guys create a perfect woman in their kind of as a science experiment, as a school project. Paid by Kelly LeBrock, I think, who was at the time was married, I think, to John Travolta, and so they did the theme song to that film, Weird Science, Oingo Boingo, and their other big hit was Stay. But no, Danny Elfman doing great things now. But I enjoyed both soundtracks. I enjoyed the film, Jack Nicholson and Michael Keaton for me.
But I'll ask the last non-wrestling question now, so before Nova goes into the plugs. But I'll leave this up to you as to how deep or not we do go into it, just for personal and private reasons. But in your shoot life, Johnny the Joker, you do a bit of radio here and there, mainly breakfast radio. I know you're very passionate about that, and obviously you couldn't have a podcast without bringing up radio because it's radio adjacent. But the question was just, what is your favourite thing about doing radio?
Look, before I was doing radio, I was doing other stuff too. Like I moved from Sydney to Victoria. Another passion of mine, I was doing this when I was in Sydney as well. I raced speedway when I lived in Lithgow. I got involved with pit-crewing when I moved to Sydney, pit-crewing on speed cars, pit-crewing on sprint cars, pit-crewing on leader sprints, and then we went compacts. And then when I moved to Victoria, I said, well, I did get involved with community radio when I moved to Victoria as part of a work for the Dole project, but I also got involved with commentating Speedway. Having a little bit of a background knowledge on Speedway, our track commentator would get out of the box, go and race his cars. There'd be 3 or 4 races where there wasn't anyone commentating. So I approached the club, give me a list of drivers, I can make this work. And I commentated across 7 or 8 different tracks, probably for about between 8 to 10 years. And it's still doing that now. Not only for Speedway events, I MC events. I've done a burnout show a couple of weeks ago. That was about a month ago. It was fantastic. Radio, yeah, I've been probably doing radio now for 15 plus years. It hasn't always been breakfast radio. I did breakfast radio as a challenge. For those people who do want to tune in, you can get on to the Community Plus radio app. If you search Temora, you'll find TEMFM. I'm on radio Monday to Friday from 6 a.m. Once you've learned the skills, and again, for those people who are interested in potentially doing it, just have a look. Just Google community radio in your local area. There might be one just around the corner. There might be one in your town you don't even know about. It's fun, all right? Get the opportunity to play the music that you enjoy. You feel it's fulfilling because you're giving something back to the community and you're sharing a passion. Maybe you might have a passion, say, in 80s music. You might have a passion in retro music. You might have a passion in jazz or country. Whether you do 1 hour, whether you do 3 hours like I do, or whether you do 2 hours or whatever, or you do the behind the scenes stuff, which I do. Once you've got the skills, it'll take you anywhere. I've done radio in Ballarat. I've done radio in Perth. And now I'm doing it here in Temora. I did a short stint at the commercial radio network. If you have the desire or passion to become, to work at Triple M or Nova or anything like that, skills in community radio will get you through the front door rather than most people who just don't think that they can do it. If you can prove that you can do it, you've got a better chance than a person who thinks that they can do it. Why do I do it? Why do I get out of bed at 5 o'clock in the morning, Monday to Friday to do it? Because it gives me structure. It gives me structure, gets me started, good on the day. You sit there and play 2 hours of music or 1 hour of music or 3 hours of music. It gets you pumped, I can feel like crap when I wake up in the morning. By the time I get in there and turn that mic on at 6 in the morning, it gets me pumped, gets my head sorted right for the day anyway. It's fun. If you've ever thought about it, don't think about it anymore. Go and make inquiries about it. But again, as I said, prior to getting involved in radio, and it kind of was a much that I got involved with commentating Speedway, which was fun as well. Again, it's like wrestling. I've got a Speedway family. A lot of people that I wouldn't have known if I hadn't have done that, and who are there to assist and help and when required, and keep an eye out for you as well.
Okay. Absolutely. Yeah. So my next little bit is just before we segue into the plugs and whatnot, this won't air till after, like the one we're currently recording now won't air till after the Emma Butler Memorial Show, but I want to have a bit of a chat with you about it before we go into the plugs. So what are you most looking forward to at the sold out Emma Butler Memorial Show?
Look, I'm probably looking most forward to the apart from that it is a sellout event. I'm looking forward to I've got, apart from what's happening on the show, because we'll talk about that in just a minute. I'm actually taking a couple of got tickets for a couple of people here in Temora where I live. All 3 of them have never been to a show before. Big wrestling nuts. I've got a young fella that's just he eats, sleeps and breathes wrestling. He's been talking to me all the time. When's the next show? When's the show? When's his show? He keeps hitting me up for Doink the Clown stuff. He's a big Doink the Clown fan. I don't have any. So if anyone's got any Doink the Clown stuff, hit up Crossfire.
I'm
he can get
start looking on Marketplace now.
Yeah.
So I can hit Johnny the Joker up.
Look, it's hard to find. Don't worry about that. So look, he gave me a hit and misses Mick Foley DVD the other day to watch.
That's a great DVD set too.
I'm getting back into some old school Foley as well. But look, I'm looking forward to these people coming along and experiencing their first show. You know, I remember when I experienced my first show, and it was like, wow, you know, I didn't know this happened here. You know, so I'm looking forward to that, especially the young fella. You know, he's seen it on the TV. He lives, eats, and breathes it because he watches a lot of stuff online and got the network and all that type of stuff. But for those people who have never been to their first live show, it's that big wow factor. So I'm looking forward to giving that experience to these people that are coming up to the show. And young Lukey will be travelling up with me. Him and his dad are coming up. So looking forward to that. The show itself. Now, I'm not sure if I'm going to be doing any commentary. I'm just going to be doing ring announcing. Doesn't matter. Whatever I do on the day, I'm part of the show. That's the important thing. Look, I'm probably looking forward to the fight between Rex and High Octane. To be honest, I think I've seen them wrestle before, possibly at CPW, but I'm looking forward to that. Is it Gimpy, the other character? Whatever he turns up and does, he's always good value. Always good value.
So. No, we've got that multi-man that's open to the entire ICW roster. So, for all we know, Gimpy might even show his head during that multi-man.
Yeah.
He might show his head in that one, or I might ask very nicely and find some tights to find, and so I might just do a quick exit over the top rope, and I can, because as I said, Miss Kitty, who's sadly not with us anymore, she said, "No, you're not bumping." I wasn't even allowed to go and put myself back inside a speedway car, but that's another story, because it was dangerous. So I'd like to put, who knows? I could just make a special guest appearance and just go over the top rope first elimination. I don't have to. I could quite easily do that. I could just step over the top rope. No, I couldn't because I'm not that tall, but I'd certainly go over the top rope. But no, I'm because again, that's another silent character that it works well because of who works the character, and that's it. You know, he doesn't talk. He's got his teddy bear. He doesn't talk. And look, anything. And again, while we're talking about that, anything that Birdman Picasso is involved with as well. No, he's another legend that is travelling from down south, and there's a lot of people travelling for this show. And they bring a special thing to the show. I feel we've got ties to the Cowra region, but but Birdman's he's another one of the things. He comes out with his wrestler Chicken George, and that's just like, and the crowd up, and the Cowra just love him, and that's the Cowra just love him. But look, and whoever turns up for the tag, for the elimination at the end, that could be interesting as well. But no, Rex and High Octane. Wherever Gimpy turns up, and look, the Birdman, because look, you don't have to talk a lot about the Birdman. He goes out and does it for you. He's one of them guys that knows how to sell, knows how to talk up a crowd, and he just makes life just a whole lot easier if you're up there on the mic trying to make it sound interesting, because every match is interesting with the Birdman in it.
Definitely.
Now, getting into the plugs, where can we find you on radio? And do you have any social media pages or merchandise to plug, Johnny?
Okay, no, I don't really have any social media sort of things for Johnny. Maybe I should. Nor do I do for my radio program, which I am looking at. But look, if you do want to find me on air listening to the show, you can download the Community Radio Plus app. You need to then search 2666, which is the Temora postcode, or Temora. Click on TEMFM, and then you'll be able to listen online. Monday to Friday, I'm generally on from 6 at the moment, so 6 till 9 Monday to Thursday, and sometimes 6 till 10 on a Friday, which is a lot of a commitment. So if you're keen on listening to some great music, also, if you want to just add me on social media, Dave White, you'll find me on Facebook. It's pretty easy to find. I'm in Temora. Happy to chat to anyone, wrestling fans, those who may remember me, those who want to know what I'm doing now. It's I don't have any sort of set social media except just general Facebook. Just download Threads the other day. Don't know what it's all about, but I'll learn about that one. Got TikTok, don't even use it. Got Instagram, wouldn't even know what that's all about either. Just things that clog up my phone that probably don't need to be there. But no, find me on the Community Radio Plus app. Search Tamora or 2666, and I'm on from 6 till 9 at Team FM here in town. And for those who want to add me on social media, just have a chat, have a yarn. Whether you're a speedway nut, whether you're a wrestling nut, or involved in some of the other things that I'm in, I play guitar, I like to sing, like to have fun. Keep me up.
I might even link the Community Radio app in the description for both the
Why not? It's not only here locally. If you've got a community radio in your local area, this is something that was put together by the CBAA, which is the Community Broadcasting Association of Australia. So, and they do podcasts as well. So they've got pods on there. They've got community radio stations. It's a great tool for community radio. So you can listen to your favourite community radio station anywhere in the world. But no, merch, I don't have any, but I did with the wonderful fan card that Crossfire made me. I did order a short sleeve shirt and a long sleeve shirt today because I got a good price. So hopefully they'll be here next week, and if they look good, I might get some of them made up as merch and see how we go.
Awesome. I will say before we wrap this up, Johnny/Dave, I can confirm there's been a few times where you've had and I said this to you in person when you were here at the Crossfire compound a couple of weeks ago, but there's been a few times where every now and then you'll do like an extra shift, midday or mid-afternoon or whatever. And if I'm out walking, I can confirm the community. I'm someone that runs a podcast. I'm very technology challenged. I don't know how I managed to run a podcast, but that's another story. But it is so easy to find for even someone as technology challenged as me. The app works amazingly. Yeah. Johnny's even given me a few shout outs and played some pump up tunes while I'm out on my walk. So no, he plays a bit of everything. Can confirm.
I play a lot of pump up tunes, mate. And the thing is, my show, I call it, breakfast is breakfast with a difference. Whatever time of day, it's music with a difference. It's the songs that you remember. It's the songs that give you, I like to play songs that you can say, oh yeah, I remember when I bought the CD single of that, or I remember when I went and saw them in concert, or I remember when that one came out, it was my favourite song then, and I haven't heard it in years. They're the songs that I play that give people great memories. Whether they be great memories because they bring a bit of sadness or something like that, and that's happened to me over the last couple of days. But they're the songs that I play that are not only great memories for me and part of my life, but I hope they're part of the people's lives that listen in as well. Easy to find. If Crossfire can do it, anyone can do it.
Love that.
Absolutely. But I appreciate you jumping on, Johnny. And as I said, I dare say we'll probably do another one of these down the line once we, have plenty of topics. But
we've got plenty of topics. We haven't even touched on, apart from some of the people that I've mentioned, the people that I've worked with, the people that were there when I started, the people that are now doing great things, and you're there when you start. You see them come through schools, and you get them to up to upper echelons of working. Not only here but overseas, and it's got some great stories about a certain wrestler that probably needs to be told, but we can talk about that at a later date, because it's been a pleasure to be part of the pod, as they say, and we wanted to get me on for a while. Just lucky today that I had the day off from work from everything else, and we managed to make it work today. Thanks, guys, for having me.
I appreciate you very much, Johnny. I'll let you go, but you enjoy the rest of your day, mate. And I cannot wait to. Obviously, as I said, this is going to drop probably a week. I think it's the week or 2 weeks, depending on the calendar. I think it's the week after. But yeah, I think it's dropping the week after Cowra, regardless. But by the time this goes out, we will have seen you, and it will have been awesome. But thank you for jumping on, and I cannot wait to catch up upon recording. Again, I just hope the gear still fits enough that my trousers don't fall down. So that's about the only issue. The jacket and shirt are not a problem, but no, we don't want an exposure issue in Cowra, because high octane can do it, but not me. Especially not in the church.
Not in the church hall, no. I wouldn't be allowed to go. I wouldn't be allowed to be seen in any church in Cowra if that happened.
All right, thank you very much, Johnny. You enjoy the rest of your day, mate.
Thanks, bye.
You too, mate. Bye.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, that was Johnny the Joker, legendary wrestling announcer / manager / only one-time referee. The fact that his debut was as a referee and then just never did it after that is kind of funny, which we touched on in that conversation. But make sure you check Johnny out on the Community Plus radio app. As I said, the link will be there. It takes you to the website, and then you can just click on either Google Store or iOS, Apple Store, depending on which device you use. But you can listen to it literally anywhere as long as you've got mobile data / an internet connection. And it's not just Tomorrow Radio that's on there. It's all community radio. It is on there far and wide. You can listen to this. Like, if you're an Australian and you're traveling abroad, as long as you have a Wi-Fi connection, you can listen to the local radio back home through this app, cool. Which is
so cool. Like,
it boggles my mind as it is with this podcast that we're now in. I think we've actually just cracked 15 countries now, Nova. We're in 14, I believe. We just had some headway in China, which I believe was the first time we've been China, which I think it was China or another one. I can't remember. There was a couple, but one of them popped up, and we're like, hang on, I think that's actually 15.
Oh, that was Paraguay.
Paraguay, yes, sorry.
Hello,
China was the 14th country, and yeah, we just had Paraguay pop up as the 15th. That's right. It's ADHD thinking, trying to get it all out. But yeah, we're in 15 countries, which it's a brag, but in a good way. But like, I'm just saying that because it just boggles my mind. But the fact that this is a podcast, right? That this is meant to exist within the realm of the internet. But the fact that Johnny, as someone that does local radio, for a job, in Temora, for that to be able to be broadcast worldwide, that is awesome to me. Like, it's just so cool. At the end of the day, podcasting is essentially just a radio show, but like, it's same but different, right? Like, Johnny's actually at a radio station, with all the channels and bits and bobs, and the fact that that's able to be broadcast literally anywhere in the world, so long as you have the means to download the app, that's kind of nuts me, and I just cannot stress that enough, because Johnny doesn't. He said, he gave his personal Facebook in there for those that want to chat wrestling, but he doesn't really have much in way of social media for Johnny the Joker pages currently. So if you want to support him, just download that app, check him out on Tomorrow. He plays great range, a great selection of music. An episode, cheap plug that we're going to have coming up next week. By the time this episode's out, with Freya Fury, shout out, she was on The Voice. But the term she used was polyamorous, and it's funny because, Nova, you and I have been using that term for ages, but now it's just because we've had that conversation with Freya recently. It's just it's stuck in our head. And Johnny the Joker, definitely polyamorous in terms of the types of genres that he plays on the Temora TEM-FM. There's just some really, really good stuff. So I cannot stress that enough. But obviously our links are there: the Linktree, the Pro Wrestling Tees, the Amazon wishlist, the GoFundMe, all of the socials and the pod platforms and everything else. As always, this is dropping on a Sunday, but if for future reference and future episodes you want early access, on Fridays for as little, Nova, as
$5 dues.
For as little as $5 dues Australian, $3 US, you can get early access with our Rogue tier, then the $10 tier, the Essential, $15 the Real Main Event, $20
is your Supernova tier.
Of course, all of them. Obviously, the lowest one, it just builds and builds and builds. So all of those have the early access involved. But yeah, for as little as $5, you can get early access. And obviously, if you're interested in supporting the show in other ways, you can check out all the deets on the Patreon, which is in the link as well, in both of our link trees. But yeah, Nova, do you want to recap the song and match of the week, and then I'll jump into the plugs for shows, and then we can get out of here rather than ranting, because this was a great episode with Johnny, and I don't want to bore people.
Alrighty. So, your song of the week for episode 135, again, was Here's Johnny by Hocus Pocus, and your match of the week was Sting versus Bret Hart at Halloween Havoc 1998.
And again, we are recording this on Halloween Day for the intro and outro 2024, so it's fitting. And obviously, Johnny's a big fan of Sting, so definitely worth it. But yeah, as far as the upcoming plugs, Adrenaline Pro Wrestling, Friday, November 29th, Legacy. They do have a breakout 49 on Friday the 8th of November as well, but too many links for me to remember when I'm trying to remember all of Johnny's info as well, and definitely trying to remember to plug the Community Plus. But yeah, Jason Crash versus Adam Brooks on this show for Legacy. It's going to be huge.
Crossfire.
Bobby Fish going to be on the show. His opponent is yet to be announced. And speaking of Bobby Fish, November 30th, Richie fucking Taylor versus Bobby Fish, rather, not Robbie Fish. And of course, the All for One Rumble. The winner will challenge for the MXW Heavyweight Championship at the next Geelong show, which is taking place WrestleFest 2 in a 2-night event, Feb 28th, March 1st, 2025. And then next year, in 1 year and 1 day upon recording this outro, ICW Central West Emma Butler Memorial Show number 3, or I guess technically Western Warfare 7. Will we see Johnny Joker as the MC again? Probably. But
Stay
I am
tuned.
very excited for this. Tickets are already on sale. 11 seats have already sold. And that's not including the part of the front row that's already full from the sponsors and family and friends and et cetera, et cetera. But unfortunately, you did notice a show that I didn't plug, Extreme Capital Wrestling.
Yeah.
Our show that was meant to be November 23rd has been cancelled. Just is what it is, unfortunately. But they are looking at a new date, early 2025. Stay tuned to, obviously, the ECW pages, but stay tuned to the podcast socials as well, because we can bet we'll be sharing that when they do go on sale. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it, Nova. I think we've pretty well covered it. I don't want to rant too long and make people bored, because this was a very fun conversation with Johnny the Joker. Really, really enjoyed it. But yeah, I am the Essential John L. Crossfire.
And I am Nova Lee.
And you guys were just caught
in conversation. Shakalaka laka. Here's Johnny.